All right. What up? I'm gonna try a stream. Hopefully the I mean, if it's jank, let me know. I did some audio tweaks. Hopefully it's closer to acceptable. We're a long way from perfection, but if possible, find something workable for tonight. All right. Cool. So this doesn't need to be anything extreme. We can sounds good. Good, but not great. No, it doesn't need to be great. I'm just trying to sort of keep things out of the red. There's these little... This stuff is intimidating for me. And I don't know what does what, other than last time was jank. This time could be a little better. I'm gonna try to make that happen. Okay. And all right, so we have this project. And this project is, I forgot to do something important. I guess there's still time. There's still time. We gotta go to the previous version. So I'll show you the two versions. So this is the color version where I've colored it with, like, you know, here's your box of crayons, and then here's your coloring book, like color, you know. So you come up with something like this. It's like toon shading. But the lighting isn't realistic, and it's just a step in the right direction, if anything. What needs to happen is essentially we turn off all the lines and we'll be left with this sort of mosaic of color, raw color, but they essentially will act as selections. If you're familiar with the concept. And I'll explain more. So we turn off all these lines, and we're left with this sort of puzzle of color. All right, so it's like this. Yeah, there's a lot of layers on this, but look at all these characters, you know? Kind of makes sense. So I'll show you something. So I'll Control A, Command A, select all, and then you can copy merged, which basically takes a picture of the image, then you paste it. Oop, not in a new image. Paste it here. Paste in place. Okay, so now I have this layer that has all of the color selections. And it's a little hard to describe exactly why that's strategic, but essentially I can pick colors using this information as a kind of backup layer. Does that make sense? Because when beyond this, let's say I paint into this and I add a bunch of blue light, right? Here, I can demonstrate it actually. So So this, see this brown? Let's say I want to paint into this brown. So I add a bunch of blue light to it, right? Like that. And then later on, I want to do the same thing, but I just want to do it to that brown layer. But now, if I go in and I use the magic dropper, it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't have the fidelity. It's because I painted into it. But if I go to this layer, I still have that. I can select, well, theoretically I can. Oh, no, here, yeah. There. So that sort of, what up, bro? Boxer's here. Hey, man. Boxer knows my friend, I shouldn't call him by his real name. Well, Chris, you know Chris. Join the Discord. Danny's in the Discord. Chris Smith. That Chris? No, the the non-toxic one. You know, ironically, since his name is Chris Smith, like he's like hidden in the veil of anonymity by having the world's most common. It's like John Smith, right? I have the original colors as a backup, and they're flat. So the gradient, because I need to make selections that are sort of flat. See, you see how I can make selections? You probably can't see because you're probably looking at this on your phone. But these selections are clean. Meanwhile, if I turn this off and I make selections into what I'm coloring, it can't work. I can't make a selection into here that is clean. Do you see what I mean? Once I color into it, you can't make a clean selection. So that's what it is. And so some people refer to this. Max, have I seen anything about a game called Claire Obscure Expedition 33? No, I don't know what that is. Expedition 33. I don't know. This is triggering me. Triggering me a little bit. What is this? What is this thing? It's a long name. Okay, so... Okay, hold on. This is my high horse. Okay. Okay. This has been stewing in my brain for like a week. It's a smaller game company that split off from Ubisoft, French devs who made the game of the year. I'll tell you what the game of the year is. No, I'll tell you later. Okay. But it has to do with what I'm going to say right now. Yes, see my hand? That's the go. Engage. No, okay. This is funny. You could do this sort of like reverse shadow puppet. Just like those who climbed the lonely mountain and had the mists and the avalanches fall on them, as happened in Lord of the Rings. I've been binging YouTube channels that describe the harrowing exploits and ultimately last moments of the people who climb the tallest peaks in the world. Basically, it's like what went wrong on Everest, you know, marathon, you know, so it's like in 2 hours you can watch 100 people die, basically. Not that we're celebrating death, but I couldn't help but it turns out they didn't listen to the Sherpas. It's very interesting. So there are these, so you're, yes, correct. what's interesting is there is this weird allure for, it's as if there's this sort of like, I don't know, like I think of myself a little bit as a Sherpa, you know, or I'm like, guys, it's dangerous out there. Here's some tools. And then like people are like, cool, I'm convinced. Let's go do this thing. And I'm like, yeah, but did you hear the part where I said it was dangerous? They're like, no, but I'm prepared now. But I'm like, you're not quite listening to me. This is a death sentence. You will regret this when you're dead. And they're like, no. You've shown me the way. And I'm like, I have not shown you the way. You do not have supplemental oxygen. Your body is not acclimated. They're like, no, I got this. I'm ready, Chief. And am I afraid of death? People are never ready. That is also true. I don't know if I'm afraid of death. You're afraid of the dark? No. I'm very desensitized to my imagination. So, because I can tell the difference. Most people can't. You know. But at this point, so the part of my brain that thinks about terrible things happening and like makes them real went so far to like 11 when my daughter got sick that it like straight up broke. Like the dial snapped off in my hand and I'm like, holy moly. And yeah. And so this is just as far as like I'm simultaneously permanently scared and also like completely desensitized to it. So on the other hand, like I can watch fiction, like I don't know, like if you fire up like an old, like if you hand me a Goosebumps novel, I'll probably like trip out on it, you know, even though they're like pedestrian horror, right? So I don't know. But yeah, so that's that. Anyway, the path to like the professional artist is fraught with danger and like, and Boxer, you said, are you afraid of the dark? And I'm like, that was that Nickelodeon series that was fucking scary. You know what I mean? How do I turn off? Why is Google not on? Anyway, you're afraid of the day. Hold on, I'm just trying to figure out why I don't have to turn off Google. Hey, never mind. All right, we're gonna watch this link. Here's what I'm gonna say. Speaking of links, yeah. This is not a path where you'll find, I don't know, what's the there's a sign outside of some caves, like caves, you know, where like people go in and they die. Sometimes they go spelunking or cave diving or just cave exploring. They never come out. Outside of those caves, they put signs, and it says, there is nothing in this cave worth dying for. Right? You've watched a few cave diving disaster videos. I've been binging these for about the past 2 weeks. There's so many on YouTube. Unfortunately, they're all narrated by AI, and I don't even know if it's true, like half this shit, but it's all plausible. Yeah, it's horrifying. Like for me, like being like claustrophobically like squished to death. Okay, the Ocean Gate is like another. Some of them are stick figure art. I've definitely watched some of the stick figure art ones. Those are actually pretty good. Which is like crazy because it's, yeah, the Ocean Gate stuff. I mean, I don't, what bothers me is that there was a kid involved in that. Like, I don't know, he was like 18 or something like that. I don't know. Like, that's too young. Like, people should have more sense. That's bad parenting. but I don't know. Okay, I think I've had my spiel. There is a okay, because okay, so it's not just there is. Yeah, the dad was. I guess you're there, right? You didn't just send him in there alone. Okay, sort of like how there is the modern day like Everest exploits, like it's so tourism based, right? So the people who go up to Mount Everest, it's like, you know, there are people who will gladly take your money, right? And say, I'll show you the way. And then you die and they're like, they knew the risks, you know, kind of a thing. And there's this kind of conflict there. It's a little bit, Max, these people are wealthy and thrill-seeking. We cannot comprehend their mental gymnastics. Like, I agree. But, like, the analogy to Everest is better, I think, because there's only so many routes up to Everest. And what you have on Everest is everybody promising, okay, well, I'll get you there. And then, you know, it's like right now, the climate isn't good. So, you know, you wait a day or weeks, whatever is needed. Then the weather clears, but now there's a backlog. No one's been able to come up and down, so we've all been waiting. Now there's 400 people waiting to get up and down Everest. And now the weather's good. And then we all try to cram through at the last fucking second. Everything, we've all risked things and sacrificed to get here. And no one wants to say, I'm going to turn back so that others may live. There's this sort of like, I think ultimately, I think I've painted enough of a picture. Ultimately, what I'm trying to get to is like, there's a certain unsustainability that nobody talks about in art, where there's, you know, I don't know how many people can be on a mountain at the same time? How many people can attempt without knocking each other off or making, you know, hey, you stole my oxygen, right? You're literally stealing oxygen, right? I don't have the answers. I don't know what amount is sustainable, but it's tricky. Like at a certain elevation, whatever your gain is comes at the expense of somebody else sometimes. I don't know. That's just food for thought. Like, and that's not me telling anybody to stop drawing. And yes, I'm the expert, so listen to me. No, but if anything, I'm a Sherpa that is sort of like desensitized to like, okay, I've been up here a few times. There's nothing here worth dying for, except maybe it felt like you had it on your bucket list, I guess. But the only expert is Walt Disney. Disney's dead. All right. No, but I just want, if I could, there's like glamour, but like, I don't know, glamour, glory. I don't know what the thing is. I don't know what I'm talking about, but be careful. You know, this might be more, art is like a fun thing. I'm having more fun with it, like off the mountain than I am on the mountain. It's a slog out there. It's, I don't know. All right, let's look at this link. I'm going to pause the music. Boxer has helped us by, oh, where's it? Okay, here it is.
Rated M for mature.
You should never have come.
Hey, here we go.
You're only going to make things worse for everyone.
No. She chose to come. I didn't make the rules between you two.
You're fighting to change things.
For those who come after. Right?
I thought I was used to losing people.
Yeah, me too.
I know it seems absurd to offer oblivion as recompense, but
She'll never paint again.
Oh. Did this just come out? That is, kind of mid. Oh, it came out already. Are you streaming it? Is that your thing? Are you, have I missed something? Claire Obscure. The girl looks like Zooey Deschanel. They've got the, you beat it on Sunday? Oh, I'm sorry I missed it. All right. No, oh wait, you beat it on Sunday. Well, I figured you beat it every day, if not twice a day, but, all right, put this music back on. All right. Here. Okay, so anyway, very cool trailer. Thank you, Boxer. You'll talk to me about it later. I don't need the beat. You don't have to give me the beats. Am I coming by tomorrow or not? Because everyone's sick. So Kiki has made a quick recovery. Yeah, she is not sick anymore. She actually, after this morning, because I was like, you'll stay home. Then she was fine, and I was like, off to school with you. Meanwhile, my wife is sick, so she doesn't feel great, but she'll probably go to work tomorrow too. She just needs a little cough and cold medicine. And Robbie's got his hacking cough. Julie doesn't fake. She doesn't fake. When she can't get out of bed, like, that's not why everyone getting sick. Because when you have small children, they just bring home all the diseases with them. I didn't actually get this disease yet, so we'll see. We'll see. It's not a big deal. I don't mind being sick like that. It's the, yeah. Oh, Kiki's a faker. Well, Kiki did try to fake a little too much. Anyway, turns out she's fine. Julie's gonna be okay, and I'm not sick, so that means I get to work as usual, as I always do. turn this off. Okay, so Danny, like, look at this. In here, you can see that I've sort of painted color outside of this wing because I was sloppy with it. But because I have this, I can select out of it. Sorry. I can select out of it. Like that. Turn that off. Come back here and delete what was out of it. And keep it clean. So it's complicated, but by saving often and using steps to sort of segregate things, you can have options later on that feel like you didn't. You might be able to use it if you run into, like, not everybody does this. Like, this is kind of like a me thing where I'm like, cool, I'm on a roll, and I keep going and I keep going, and then I'm like, fuck, I painted for 2 hours on the wrong layer because I was in a zone or something like that. That happens to me. So I need safeguards against that. So having options to sort of get away from that is super helpful. Okay, so Boxer, you will see me and the kids tomorrow. That is what I would say. We're gonna go. We'll do a stream. If work isn't too crazy, work's been crazy for me lately. It's just been nuts. I don't like it. I don't know what to do. But I gotta pay bills, so it basically is good money. It does sap my soul a little bit, but I'm gonna have to be okay with that. Maybe I just want to do more than just commercial work. I do. I want to, like the commercial I'm on right now, it's not a bad one. It really isn't bad. But again, it's just every day I found myself having to make just very arbitrary changes to, like, I'm helping them solve problems. That's important. They're appreciative. Like, it's a good client. It's just, as we solve the problems, what happens is my work just gets thrown away more and more into the trash until we run out of time, and then that's the solution. And that's not what I would prefer. And yeah, I do want to do more than that. If you took all the work, if you took all the time that I spent on art that ended up going into the trash, and instead of into the trash, you took it out and spent it on things that people might be interested in seeing, it would be a lot. It would be a lot of artwork. And that's kind of where I'm approaching things now, is I'm not young anymore. How do I do this where it's like, forget about making up for lost time. That's gone. I don't care about that. But from here out, how do I hedge against things that I can't control, and avoid the kind of, I mean, it would be one thing if I don't mind honestly, I don't mind throwing away, like, oh, my art is thrown away. Well, if I learned a bunch in the process, then it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. You know, I want to learn. Sometimes you get it wrong. So let's move on to the next thing and get it right. The problem is that people no longer recognize what works. They just sort of assume that if you came to the answer first, then it has to be wrong. Because the right answer only comes after tons and tons of work. The problem with that is it really discounts the advantage of experience. And I get why they sort of like modern day world, everybody thinks that what came before is the problem and we have to reinvent everything as new. But that's just what the people who try to sell you new things need you to know. Nothing is actually new. It's just sort of skinned slightly differently. And what is actually new is just sort of this disposable crap. Drawing a lot for it to be in the trash is probably exhausting. I've talked about it to my agent. It's a tricky thing because my agent has my back, but also she's not, I don't want to say, she's not like considerably older than me, but she's older than me. She was in the game maybe for 10 to 15 years before we even met. So it's something to like she's Gen X, basically. If I'm millennial, she's Gen X. And that is definitely a leap between sort of understandings of things. She's frustrated with how things have been changing, and because it used to be so much simpler. It used to be this job used to just be like, man. And I'm going to come back to this again and again. This is going to be something that I do for a while. But this is like clients. My clients are like tourists on Mount Everest, okay? And I'm like, cool, let's get to the top. And they're like, hold on. How we get to the top matters so much. And I'm like, okay. But you do have to get to the top, right? And they're like, yes. I'm like, okay. Cool. So let's get going. They're like, no, wait. We have to plan how to get to the top together. And I'm like, I've been to the top 20 times. And I know how to get to the top. And if we leave tomorrow morning at dawn, weather permitting, we will be there in 8 hours, and then we can come back down and no one will die. I'm like, no. We need to do all these different things. We've done all this research. We've got technology. I'm like, okay. And they're like, we're paying you by the hour. I'm like, oh, okay. So ultimately what I do is, even though it's not good for them, I let them tell me how to get to the top of Mount Everest until they run out of all the ideas that they can possibly come up with. And then when they're exhausted, halfway up, they say, Max, can you just get us to the top? And then I say, yes, come with me. And we get to the top, and then we go back down. And then they claim victory as if they did something. And it's sort of like, This was very arbitrary. You made this a lot more painful than it needed to be. And I had to really compromise a lot of what I knew to do better for the sake of money. And I'm like, this is, I don't know. One thing I'm not doing is learning. I'm not learning anything anymore. I'm learning how to be patient. That's it. What used to be like, yo, move fast, or not move fast and break things, but like, you know, be efficient and you won't waste any time, which means you will get to the top and back without running out of energy, essentially. That was the game. It's like marathon versus sprint versus whatever, but that's how I used to do it. And now it's just, it's like there's a log jam up Mount Everest. People just penguin shuffling their way up a mountain. And then like someone makes a fall and they fall so hard, you know, and it's just crazy. And it's all optional. No one has to keep messing up. Anyway.
Gifted to the race of men who above all else desire power.
Anyway, Danny, what I'm doing right now is just adding blue light to some of these characters. I feel like a Sherpa that people hire, but then because like they're racist and stupid, they're like, oh, you don't speak proper English or whatever, so you don't know anything, right? I went to Harvard, you know, or something like that, right? They're like, how could you know more about mountaineering than I do? Never mind you've lived on this mountain your whole life, and your last name is Sherpa, you know. I am Lord Featherbottom, you know, I've got mountain climbing in my blood. Literally, every man in my family for 12 generations has fallen off a mountain. So, so it's this kind of like weird, like I just end up taking orders from people who don't know what they're doing, and not everybody doesn't know what they're doing, but like the people who I have to take orders from have to take orders from people who don't know what they're doing. So even if the people who I know what they're doing, they still have to take orders from the ultimate end client, and they don't know what they're doing, you know? So it's just really frustrating. I can't get away from it. And I don't know, I can't imagine this doing anything to replace it. Unless somehow everything goes viral or something like that. And like, I wouldn't want anything to go viral, because I'd just go viral for like, I don't know, like cat paintings or something, like, you know, or like my stupid haircut or something, you know. This cringe millennial thinks he knows about art. Watch me dissect him. Viral for the link art. Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's good art. Maybe it'll take time or whatever, but and sometimes I find myself, like tonight, I was like at a bit of a crossroads. I was like, Should I try to do something that will feel like social media fodder? Something that'll go on my timeline and get likes and stuff like that. And that'll always be a consideration. I think the windows for stuff like that, like those cute Zelda portraits or whatever, you know, those get a lot of engagement, and I appreciate what they do. They're kind of low-hanging fruit, and I learn a little bit from them, but not a ton. But I'm like, it's like, yes, I was paid in wine for this art, and so I owe it to them. But it's more than just, you know, this feels, you have to follow the creativity where it wants to go. It's not that you have to, but like today I had to force myself to draw storyboards for a device, for a big tech company, right? It's like I did for the 2 weeks previous. And I don't want to force myself to do something today, and this feels very natural. I'm going to finish this piece, and when it's done, the people who intended it to happen, they were like, okay, we wanted Max for this. They wanted me. And then when it's done, they're going to print it out and hang it on their walls until someone makes them take it down. And that is a boost for me. That will feel good. To have that happen. To have my work in a place where it'll be as far away from the trash can as someone can muster for as long as they can keep it. How nice is that? What's the background going to be? It's going to be a little abstract. So I know that this looks far off, but if we look sort of here, so this will give you a good example. I'll make this big if I can. There's going to be text, but a lot of what fills the space in between the characters is just energy, right? It's sort of like, what is this stuff behind my head? It's like energy, right? It's like color, it's vibes, it's energy, right? But this is the rough sketch. Is it similar to the one you did of that strong character? I don't remember his name. I don't know what I know. I don't know what you're talking about. But probably. Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of a so this is I'm a little one note with this stuff these days, but the way I've been doing a lot of the Zelda art and the way this piece is going to go is there's going to be essentially two major lighting sources. There's lighting that is coming from behind camera that is like blue. It's like cool light. And then I'm gonna have a kind of lighting that is warm. And the warm lighting, I think, will be towards the center. And then there will kind of be this white light around the rim. So you can see that there's light. There's light that's coming from the middle, and there's light that's coming from the edge. Somehow they're all backlit, as well as... It's tricky. I don't know. Anyway, we'll experiment, but the blue light is where I like to start with it, and it's not super sophisticated. What it does is it's sort of what's interesting about the process is it sort of snowballs, right? So if you start with something that is like dark and flat, but you add light to it, the blue is not a placeholder. What it does is it's sort of like a foundation. It's not meant to, it doesn't add a ton of depth, but it adds a kind of fuzzy realism that is dim, but it feels realistic enough to put your foot down on it and step to something else. It's a foothold that, you know, you don't see very well, but it feels like you can trust and you can build from it. And that's the point, because there is, when you move from it to the brighter sources, it gives you all this stuff to compare it to. And a lot of, like, when they talk about color theory, it's about like relativity. So the contrast will have, like, if we know that we want some cool, like, glowing orange light, well, look at the background, and like my face is red, but it looks even redder because the background is blue, right? These comparisons are our friend. This is hard to see, but if you... Can you make out down here? We've got these sliders, the RGB sliders. Oh, and you can't even see that. There's these sliders, RGB. This is what light is made of. You go from dimmest to brightest. And the brightest red looks like this, and the brightest green looks like this, and the brightest blue looks like this. And everything that you see on your computer monitor is a combination of these three. If we pull them all down to 0, it's black. If we pull them all the way to the middle, it's gray. if one is much bigger than the other two, here's green, right? Bright green. Here's bright red. Add the two together, red and green, you get yellow. Add all three together, you get pure white. So if we started with this as the color, then I'm just doing the shoulder pads on this character, and we just made everything just a little bit brighter, and then add the same amount of extra blue, we're going to get the effect of blue light on these shoulder pads. It's brighter and it's bluer. And it's simple and it's intuitive and it's true. Now, it's not perfect. It doesn't take into perfect consideration all of the different things that go into how things are seen with color. A lot of that depends on the materiality, like what is the substance made of? Is it metal? Is it plastic? Is it cloth? Right now, we're not really thinking about that. Like, what if it was all just stupid, sort of brushed plastic or something like that? You know, like a toy. Not polished, but just sort of like whatever, like a cheap toy. It might have this effect. It doesn't need to be perfect for it to help our minds think about the realism. Which is what I'm trying to do right now, is just think about effects that will make this feel more real. There's this brown undercoat. Do a quick save. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate that. No. Done and done. It's overdue. Okay. So there's this, and it's like, ask yourself, like, what is the color of this brown? Like, what is this brown? I can see that it's brown, right? But if you look at the RGB sliders, it's very, just a little bit more red than green, which makes it mostly yellow. And those two are just a little bit ahead of the blue, which means this is mostly gray. Thinking about how sensitive our eyes are to color is kind of amazing. And so that's part of why I do this process is everything starts out with this sort of candy colored experience, but then I darken it, and the darkening really cuts it. It sort of like buries it under this avalanche of darkness so that I can tell the difference from one color to the next from my eyes. But then when I use the eyedropper and I can see the relationship, every color here is just mostly gray. It's crazy to think about that. Like here, the color difference between each of these colors is massive. It's just massive. But then the darkened version, that relationship is condensed. It's compressed, right? Meaning that when we use that as a foundation and then build on to that, it looks a lot better in person. I don't know if it does, but it I do. But the image definitely will have its day. Right now, it needs a lot of work. my intent with, because it's like, okay, I'm doing like a Dungeons and Dragons commission on a stream. What do I think of Chis Burrito? I've really only seen like one thing that the guy ever did, and it was like, I was like 13 years old, and my friend recorded something off of Univision, and it was like, this is the Bumblebee guy, this is the guy, and it's like, and the chicks on this show are so hot, because it's like, he's like a super short, ugly guy, and then like there's a bunch of hot chicks running around. Right? He's like the Spanish Benny Hill or something like that, you know? You may not catch that reference, but for my buddy, he was like, yeah, but the chicks are worth it. You got to check out these girls. I'm like, cool. Well, I mean, I agreed with him, but it was also sort of like, ooh, neither of us really spoke Spanish, so he's like Mickey Mouse famous. Good. Well, Mickey Mouse is just a cartoon caricature of Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton, famous silent film actors from 100 years ago. So that kind of like international humor, like where it's visual, like that's the it's the same appeal. Right now, I'm just trying to apply light in a way that makes sense given where all the other light went. Trailers in Spanish only. Okay. But Danny, do you see how, ignoring everything else, do you feel how, like, I've managed to carve out some depth here with just thinking of like, okay, there's a blue light behind the camera, and which means everything that basically faces the light is basically getting a little bit of a glow up of blue light. Right? And before you know it, like this feels like it's starting to emerge a little bit, right? Well, what that does is it becomes its own point of reference where we're like, by having something where you can compare, like if you've got something that looks realistic against something that is very flat, you can use those as reference points and be like, okay, how can I get this to be in the same realm as that, right? And so that you just have this sort of reference point where you can get to the next level. So check this out. Now I've got his eyes white and his teeth white, but they're not lit yet. So they're just gray. But if we add equal amounts of light and then a little extra blue, and then paint into it here, you see the depth in those teeth. And then here. And it's subtle. It's not a huge difference from what was there before. And then later on, like, there's going to be magic in his hand. There's going to be light that's coming from his lantern. All sorts of effects. Just coming and glowing and doing all sorts of stuff. Things everywhere. It's just step one. I set an arbitrary goal. It is very arbitrary, but my friend's birthday is on June 9th, and I should, if I can, advance this as far as I can before then. I don't know if I can do it all on stream. I think it'll be too slow if I do. But tonight, it's not bad. I can try and eke out a stream and then learn something. And what I'll learn is whether or not I set up the audio correct, right? Be talking most of it. Yeah, that's one of the things, but it's like I can't separate the importance of the social aspect from what I'm trying to. I can do no mic streams here and there. Yeah, I agree. And I do that sometimes. But previously it was just because it's like my mic is fucked up. I'm just gonna turn it off. But it's as good for me as I think it might be for anybody else who's listening. Is I do need to unload. You know, mentally, it's not bad for me to have a place to put my thoughts. Right. And it may be temporary. Like what bothers me today probably won't bother me for a year from now. But no one knows what comes next, and it's like kind of like an expedition, like a Mount Everest summiting expedition. They're, depending on what happens, people might be curious. What was going on, and having the opportunity to discuss my motivations for whatever can be beneficial. I was on that Moblin Madness piece for so long that I forgot how much of the process was just this kind of like slow, arduous kind of task, right? Jules, I'm glad you're popping in. The poetry night went good. Okay, very good, very good. I'm glad about that. I'm very glad. You don't have to disclose the poetry. We'll just we'll have a big celebration. The yeah, boxer claps. We have a we need clapping emotes, but send it to me later. Send it to me later. This is good. I was making all kinds of earlier in the stream analogies for the it's the comparison of artistic pursuits for the lure of adventure that one might find in mountain climbing or expeditions. There's a certain amount of at a certain point, because it's like sometimes people do things because it's like glory. I don't think artists do things that way, but there's a certain amount of like, you can't help it but like take the risk to express yourself, even though there's danger involved. The danger being you could embarrass yourself. You could definitely risk looking like cringe, you know? But without that risk, that's the sacrifice required, right? So, the price we pay. What I am happy about is right now, I'm finally getting into my groove a little bit. The head of the department of the uni was there, and she also teaches me literature, so that was extra pressure. Oh my gosh. But there's nothing better than impressing a teacher that you admire, right? I mean, that's the best. Hopefully that was the case, but or someone whose opinion you respect, or again, it's like it all comes down to risk. Like if you didn't care, then you wouldn't care, right? I used to run into that where there were occasions where I had to take art classes from people who didn't know what they were doing. And that was a very big struggle for me. All right, anybody's listening, save your work. I just saved my work, so. Okay, I'm gonna go another probably 20 minutes, just so everybody knows. No one should stay up late. She gave a speech that we were kind of presenting this act of rebellion against the mass media, and that we highlight the importance of personal work and the beauty of art. I'm glad that she said that. This is a the theme of defiance, the theme of being unwilling to sort of stay put where you're put, and to be unheard, unwilling to be unheard is and it's not like unheard like you. There's no guarantee anybody's going to hear you. But just because you may not be heard, there's still hope that you may be heard. And so we shout into the void, right? And you get my point. Okay. Everyone's like, shut up, Max. All right. Anyway, very pleased to hear it went well. Did the Discord notification actually work? I'm curious right now. Because I tried to set that up. It did? Okay, that's cool. Oh, there it is. All right. Hey, that actually worked. That's cool. Huh. It worked. Oh, I'm pleased by that. Okay. I have a Discord, yeah. I've been too embarrassed to tell you. Yeah, you can join. Hang on. I'll put it up. Unless Boxer's here, he'll put it up. Let's see here. Boxer, you on? I'll pop it up. Twitch. Go to Twitch and then no, he's okay. And then, no, he's okay. No. All right, should be there now. Oh, there's my bro. Jules, I don't know if you know, Boxer is my brother in real life. And Danny is a extremely talented young artist. Too slow. Oh, it's all good. Who has a very worthy cartoon idea. That is cool. Anyway, we're all shouting in the. Okay, very good. Here we have. And it's like, what I'm doing right now is just introducing like the idea of light. The idea of blue light on brown hair. Light that's coming from behind camera. Which means it's from our eyeballs, basically. You know, we're just projecting blue light onto a scene. Equal amounts. Red, green, and blue plus blue. Something like this. The tool I'm using is a kind of, it's called a tapered detail airbrush, and it's not really anything special. I can make little bits of coverage or a lot depending on the pressure. Hair looks more realistic. Yeah, I'm trying to... I mean, if something is flat, there's no realism to it at all, because I have a very worthy art director and director client who taught me this method. He was the one who taught me this method, and a lot of what he told me is that in real life, I mean, if I say gradient, we all know what I'm talking about, right? Danny, do you know what a gradient is? It's okay if you don't, I'll explain it to you. But a gradient is like a smooth transition from one tone or value to the next. Please explain. Yeah. You don't. Okay, so like So we here have a like a kind of a void, and here is a flat plane, right? And it's not realistic. Like nothing looks like this, right? But if we have anything that resembles a gradient, and it's just a transition. From one thing that goes to the next. It's like this could be real. Because what we see is something moving from lighter to darker. That's how light works, right? It's not that it's real. It's just it could be real. You know, our minds can imagine that, right? The gradient it's like a grade. When they talk about going up or down a hill, it's the transition from high to low, right? And then the rate of that transition is like the grade, right? So you've got the truck. What's that sign? Here. Oh, here we go. So you've seen this, right? Steep incline, right? The grade. It's the transition, right? So the physics of light is that primarily it's not just a difference between like light and dark. Well, kind of like gravity. Very much like gravity. There's an immense difference in the fall off. What happens is that over time, or not over time, but over space, the effect of the light goes away. So what you can do is create an effect of light having an intensity and then falling away. That will have a kind of realism, right? So that's kind of the idea. But it basically comes down to contrast. I think it did it justice. My buddy probably explained it a lot better to me a while back, but so one of the reasons that Danny, I know you're young, but back in the day, movie miniatures. So check out some of this stuff, like movie miniatures. Look how cool this stuff is. I don't know if that's George Lucas, but like movie magic back in the day, part of how they did it was with miniatures. And the way that the reason miniatures are convincing is because light is the same. Yes, it's the same with Godzilla. I mean, Godzilla is like, now you have to be very careful with the quality of the light, which is another thing. Like you can't just have like light, you have to control the light. But if you can control the light and things like texture and perspective and stuff like that. But those things are actually easy to do. It's a lot easier to control light and texture and perspective on a miniature building than it is to build a real building, right? So, like, this is a miniature. Who knew? What's this? Illusions of scale. I don't know what that is. You know, look at this cool stuff, right? But prior to the year like 2005, miniatures really had a great place in Hollywood. And they do that because light is convincing even at a small scale. So sometimes it's like a fun way to think about it is like, think about it like don't think about making, like when you make art, don't think about making reality. Think about making a miniature. Like, what's the difference, right? There's a difference, but like, as far as like light and art and your audience is concerned, they'll buy one as quickly as they will the other. Something about miniatures and movie magic, right? So it's not like, so even if I render these with a kind of quality that makes them look a little plasticky, that's a perfectly valid way. 10 more minutes, yeah. I don't want to stay up all night. I only have to advance the ball just a little bit. It's crazy, but like today I was posting onto like Kara, whatever the app is, the social media thing for artists, and ArtStation. And I was like scrolling through, I was like, okay, what should I post next? Because I have a huge backlog of like the stuff we've already done. I remember just thinking, I was like, look at all the fucking art I've made. Like, this is crazy. It's weird to me because it's like, I feel like it's gone so slow because I'm only doing this like in my spare time. I'm lucky if I can put in 3 to 4 hours a week, right? There have been weeks where I put in, you know, I couldn't do anything, you know. Because it's hard. Real life is tricky. There's all sorts of shit going on. It's like summiting a mountain. There's fucking weather and all the... You've posted a few and gotten some nice interactions. Yeah. I've been I mean, I'm not getting literally ignored on some of those sites and stuff like that, so I'm fine with it. I'm not. Mostly what I'm learning is that, like, you know, in regards to Kara and ArtStation specifically, my instincts were correct. It's a little bit of a waste of time. However, even you never know what will truly come to bear fruit over time. So it's like, okay, pretty much everybody on ArtStation is like a spamming bot who's been interacting with me. But some are real people, and some of those people might connect somebody to somebody who can actually do something that ultimately benefits. And even if all I do is suck up a little oxygen so that the AI bros can't suck up all of the oxygen, it'll be worth it. Don't want to go down without a fight. Yeah. It's been a nice feeling. Like, every once in a while, I'll pull open Instagram. I mean, not every once in a while. Literally every day I check my socials, but every other day or something, I'll check and I'll be like, holy moly, I've got like whatever 30 likes all at once. It feels, and it's just like literally just some young artist who has found my Instagram and has just. They're just like, you can just see like the feed where they're just like, I like every single fucking thing that you have posted, and they go through and they like it and they like it and they like it and like it and like until they're like embarrassed at themselves, and then they write you a nice message and they're like, your art is amazing, you know. It's like that makes it all worthwhile, you know. That's everything. That's what I don't get from my job anymore. It was driving me crazy. And I should know better than to need to feed my ego, but I'm human. Get back in the studio. I do. But this feels like a good compromise. I may prefer this, you know. I can reach a broader audience, you know. Here, my studio can be everywhere. This is a open door to my digital studio. This is what I'm working on. Anybody can come and see it and ask a question like they would if I was at a studio. And I don't have to represent anybody's interests. This is just me give my unfiltered take, albeit a professional one, but would I be able to stream on a studio? No. Impossible. The amount of like NDAs and contracts they make everybody sign. Yeah, forget that then. What I want to do now, and this was sort of a thing. I haven't put my foot down in the sand, but there's been that like, you know, okay, where they're like, you know, you've got your pieces. Are you gonna try to get on the Zelda movie and stuff like that? And I'm like, you know, I've worked on video game projects before. They're not as fun as what I'm doing, you know. I don't know. I'd rather just keep doing what I'm doing, even if I don't get on a Zelda movie. I think it's smarter for me to think about just worlds. What world can I make for myself as an artist outside of a studio system? Where I'm like, if a company that is making an IP that takes itself very seriously, that needs me to adhere to all these rules, and that's the way I have to do things, then that's exactly what I'm doing right now. You know, for Apple or Google or whatever, you know, it's just not something that is I'm gonna go from being ignored for my advice on one project to being ignored for my advice on another project. And it's like, I'd like to work on a Zelda movie, but I'd also like to have some sort of assurance that good advice was listened to, and I can't get that anywhere. So it's tricky. Anyway, I may change my mind, but right now I'm sort of like, I don't know, it feels like if I got onto a Zelda movie, I wouldn't be able to continue doing what I'm doing. Like, I wouldn't be able to stream this stuff. I could stream this, I guess, but like, they'd be like, no more of that. You're not allowed to have a social media presence that puts things at odds with our sense of security. And they'd be right to say that. But given all that I've said over the past several months about what's important to me and my goals, how could I then turn my back on it? Just to go back to the same thing I've already been doing. All the same things I'm complaining about. When I worked on the it's a tough position. When I worked on the Clash of Clans stuff, I had a lot of opinions about what could or should be different or whatever. In the end, because I didn't care, I didn't love the game, so it was easier for me to just set aside, like, okay, my feelings about this are one way, the director has their own way that they need to do, but like, I don't really, it's not going to affect me personally if I have to compromise and, you know, let them have their way. So it was easier for me in that instance to just be like, sure, we'll do it your way. And I still think there was a lot of improvements that could have happened, but, you know, whatever. I didn't compromise myself in a way that I couldn't live with. But with Zelda, it's different. And I don't know. For a lot of things, it would be different for me. I wouldn't be happy being forced to
Done. Yes, Mr. Frodo. It's over now.
do something that I felt strongly against. I don't know. And thank you. You would miss me. Honestly, I'd miss this. I'd miss you, and I'd miss the streaming. I'd miss the outlet. I'd miss the ability to channel and discuss. Like, I think there's value in, like, sort of, you know, hey, I had to deal with this stuff, and today I'm going to talk about it. A lot of unspoken, yet important aspects of being a professional artist out there. Hey, Sextra. Sextra, you just wake up? Or were you busy tonight? You prepare for sleep. Yeah, well, I'm streaming a little late. It's not a big deal. Here, look at Danny. Look at my face right now. You can see there's like blue light here. It's changing. It's changing, but it's like the light at the top of my head is different than the light down here. I mean, it's obvious. It makes sense, right? But that gradient shows that shift, right? It's the contrast. We were talking about this earlier. And it's not about like, is that a realistic color or whatever? If the gradients and the contrast look pleasing, then it just looks real. Nobody cares whether or not it's like realistic or whatever, you know? That's what they call cinematic. Anyway, Sexter, we're only going to go another couple minutes. Hour and a half into it, and I'm happy to say it's been a good stream. Oh, and the other good news is my daughter isn't feeling crazy sick anymore. My wife is sick now, but but she'll heal up just fine. This one is big. If you, it's always the teeth and the whites of the eyes. It's such a big deal. Adding light overall plus blue, and then get in there, the gradient. Quick save, yeah. No, we're finishing up right now. Just gonna get this glove. That'll be the last part. Last part for now. There's plenty more to do, but it's like, when you think about it, it's like, okay, this is one stream, and I added a base coat of blue light to half the characters. And then the next stream, you just do it on the other one. And then you've got a base coat of blue light on everything. Yeah, by going slow, but just sort of slogging your way through it, and it's like a checklist. You can get so much done by putting down like the smallest things on a checklist and then just like slowly checking off the stupidest thing. Like make a big old list, tons of shit. It's like brush teeth, check. I used to do that. I mean, I mentally still do, but I use checklists. They're a great productivity tool. Okay, check this out. The light on her tongue. It's easy to like skip that stuff, but you can't. It matters as much as anything. Right? Helps. The difference. Yeah, but there is a difference. And then when you keep adding to it, it builds and it builds and it builds, and it makes a big difference over time. And this is just the first blue light pass. There's actually going to be like 2 or 3 blue light passes on all this stuff, so because the base gradient just sort of gives us just sort of this basic texture to work with and like a feeling of light, but then you need to add highlights and other stuff, and then once that feels good, you can add light, a different kind of light that shines from a different direction, and it interacts with what we've already done, and it just explodes. You know, it's going to be crazy. Yeah, we're going to make this look amazing. All right, here, let's save this out. We'll do a quick thumbnail. I'm super tired now. It's as if life isn't hard enough, and then everybody gets sick, and then you have to do like literally everything all by yourself. It's all the chores. There's no end. There's no end to anything. Yeah, you just gotta keep going, keep going. All right, so this is cool. Whatever, whatever, you know. Plus you might work early morning. In this case, no, I don't need to. I'm not double booked at the moment. I'm just normal booked, which is plenty. It's plenty of, I'm on a job that is, so I'm putting in honest hours. Like I drew like 8 hours today, and then I streamed. So I had to be a dad, pick people up, make food. I cooked a tri-tip. I made chicken stock. I like to cook. That's kind of a thing I do. So, all right, we're gonna call it a night. I appreciate the hanging out, and keeping me and all this. It's a good motivator. Keep going on. All right, everybody get sleep. Keep working on your projects, and we'll catch you next time. Adios.